How did you meet Martin Luther King, and what made you choose to join him in the civil rights movement?
Well, I met Martin Luther King at Talladega College. We were both preachers, and he was in Montgomery, and I was in a little town in Thomasville in Beachton, Georgia, way down on the Florida line. And Talladega invited us to both come to speak at a religious emphasis week. And that's where we got to know each other. And when we met, we found out that our wives went to the same high school in Marion, Alabama. And that both of them had gone to school in colleges where they had studied about nonviolence. At that time, we had not studied about nonviolence. We'd been studying other things, but we sort of hit it off because our wives had gone to the same high school. And we became friends for the rest of his life.
Considering the current state of the world, if you could give one gift to the world, what would that be?
Tolerance. The hardest thing you have to learn, and you have to start it with your little brother and your little sister. And you have to work on it with your parents and your friends. But tolerance is understanding people who are different from you. And that people who are different from you are not necessarily bad. In fact, if everybody was the same, it would be a boring world. But I learn more from people who are different than I learn from people who are just like me. And even when they're bad people or good people. And I get just as annoyed with saints as I do with sinners, because I'm neither. And so understanding what is it that makes this person tick, and being open to learn from them because they're different. They can teach you something that you cannot learn from somebody just like yourself.
What words do you want people to say about your legacy of service?
That he tried, he failed, and he got up and tried again. And he just kept on keeping on.
What wisdom have you gained over the years that you wish you had known when you first started your career?
Well, I wish if we didn't have cell phones in the civil rights movement. You know, I mean, can you imagine? You don't know. We didn't even have television until the movement was on its way. And I wish I'd had Google, because when I wanted to know something, I'd have to get on a bus and go down to the Library of Congress and stand in line and check out a book, and then I'd have to wait for them to deliver the book. It would take me almost 2 hours to get to the book. And then I'd look in the book, take me an hour to find what I'm looking for, and then I'd have to get back to school. Now, all you have to do is take out your cell phone and Google it. And you can find out anything you want to know. Very easy now. And that's what I wish we had had some of those. Now, I also wish that I had some idea of the kinds of challenges I was going to meet. Like, I wasn't interested in money. And I wish I'd taken some courses in economics and accounting. Because the people who, I don't care whether you're a teacher, a doctor, or a president of the United States, you are controlled by the people who control the budget. And if you, and that's my definition of politics. My definition of politics is you need somebody in the room when they're dividing up the money. Because if you don't have somebody in the room that knows you and represents you when they divide up the money, you're not going to get your share. And that's the reason I want a lot of people to study some economics and study some mathematics and study some accounting so you can keep up with the money. Now you can also do other things. You also need to read. I found that and I didn't do it when I was in school, but when I got out of school, there's a book on Alexander Hamilton. I'd recommend any of you who are interested in anything to read his biography. I just finished reading a biography of Steve Jobs. Now you talk about a sick, crazy so-and-so. He was really a weirdo. and you would not have liked him. You would have wanted to slap the living daylights out of him. But he's the one who got all these Apple phones and iPads and iPods and things together. So learning to understand that people's problems contribute to their genius. And so read a biography this summer. I recommend Alexander Hamilton and Steve Jobs. But you could read Lincoln, you could read John Adams was, that's the early American founders. There's another little book, and I picked little books too, till you get used to it. But I read, and I think it's called The Founding Brothers, America's Founding Brothers. And it's how all of these guys, George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, all these people you read about in the books that they give you in school, they only tell you the dull parts in school. If you read their autobiography, you realize that these were real men and women. My son wouldn't go to school very well, but he got interested in history, and all of a sudden, he has named his baby daughter Abigail, because Abigail Adams was the one who kind of made peace. She was John Adams' wife, and John Adams didn't get along with Thomas Jefferson or Alexander Hamilton. But his wife was sort of a glue that kept the three of these egotistical young men working together, and maybe this woman was as much responsible for the Constitution and Declaration of Independence. So if you want to read about a strong woman, read a biography this summer. Okay?
If you could dine with anyone who has lived throughout history, who would it be, and what one question would you ask that person?
If I could do what now?
Dine with anyone throughout history.
If I could eat dinner or lunch, I think it might be the prophet Isaiah in the Bible, because the world had gone to hell in a handbasket. I mean, Jerusalem had been destroyed, and he writes all of this visionary thing about the Lord will make a way out of no way. He will level the mountains. See? And how did this man get this faith to hold a people together when everything around him was destroyed and dying? That good enough? Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to us as young adults as we strive to find our place in society?
Last part of the question is start to find what?
What advice would you give to us young adults as we strive to find our place in society?
The advice I would give you is that you don't have to find a place in society. Say, God has given you your place, and it may not even exist. See, when Martin Luther King was looking for what he was going to do with his life, the last thing he wanted to do was get involved in controversy and politics. And he went to Montgomery because that was the sleepiest little town in the South. They developed, that's where the Confederate flag was designed. That was one of the most conservative, backward places, and he didn't want to be in any controversy. He wanted to finish his doctoral dissertation. So he picked this little sedity, bougie black Baptist church where he said, there ain't gonna be no controversy here. I can practice my preaching and mind my own business. But the Lord had a different plan. He ended up, 2 weeks after he sent in his dissertation, Rosa Parks sat down in the bus. And he had to, he was pushed to the front. So you don't have to find it, it will find you. You just have to be ready whenever something finds you. That means you have to take advantage of every opportunity you can to learn something. Now you learn something by reading books, but you also learn something by talking to people. See, ask questions and become a seeker. The Bible says, seek and you shall find. Now, somebody might slap you down for seeking too much in their business, but that's okay too. That means you asked a good question. Okay?
What is one of the challenges that you faced in your life, and how did you overcome it?
You know, the book I wrote, the title of it is An Easy Burden. And I really think I had an easy life. And my challenge was that I had it made. I mean, my daddy would have sent me to any school I wanted to go to that I could have gotten into. He would have found me a job. He wanted me to be a dentist because he was a dentist. He wanted me to play baseball because he was a baseball player. That's the only sport I don't like. You know, and I worked in dental laboratories all my life, and the biggest problem I had to do was breaking away from what my parents and my teachers expected of me and find out what God expected of me. But there's good biblical reference from that, and I know I'm talking too religious, but that's okay. I'm doing it, and it's when Jesus was 12 years old, he slipped away from his mama, and she was looking all over for him. And when she found him, he was in the temple. And I've always understood that as Jesus understanding that he was not just a child of Mary and Joseph, but he was the Son of God. And I think all of us have a purpose in God, that we have to break away from whatever anybody expects of us. I always tell my children, you know, especially because I had 3 girls, I said, look, don't listen to me, because I want you to do the safest and most protected thing that you can do. I want you to be safe and secure. And that's what my daddy wanted me to be a dentist, because he said dentists can send their children to college, they can take care of their families, and everybody will always go to the dentist because their teeth are gonna hurt. And when their teeth hurt, you make enough money to take care of yourself. So he was trying to make me secure. Well, I was trying to make my baby daughter. When she got out of college, she jumped up and volunteered for Habitat for Humanity to teach in Uganda. I said, golly, there are 54 countries in Africa. I've been to about 45 of them, and I've been to Uganda. By that, later on, I've been. But I said, can't you find someplace else to go? She said, that's where I want to go. Well, that's where she had to go.
One more question, please. One more question.
Thank you.
What compelled you to get involved in the civil rights movement, even in the face of considerable danger?
Well, life was a considerable danger. I grew up in a neighborhood where there was an Irish grocery store on one corner, an Italian bar on another, and the Nazi Party in 1932 was meeting 50 yards from where I was born. And I could see these people hailing Hitler. And my parents had to explain to me what white supremacy was all about. And my dad was very good about it. He said, look, white supremacy is a sickness. You don't get upset. You don't get mad with sick people. You try to help them. And you try to help heal their sickness. And the best way for you to do that is to prove that you are as good, if not better than them at something. And he took me to the movie to see Jesse Owens in the Olympics. And Jesse Owens won the 100-meter dash, and instead of giving him his Olympic medal, Hitler stormed out and got mad and left. And Jesse Owens didn't get mad. He just won 3 more gold medals and broke 3 more records. He said, see, you don't get mad, you get smart. And if you lose your temper in a fight, you lose the fight. And you fight better with your mind than you do with your fists or your feet. And said you can run, you can fight, or you can use your mind and head off problems. And I think that's where I learned when I had to take that message to Valina C. Jones Public School. That's where I learned to be an ambassador. They said, where did you study to be an ambassador? Valina C. Jones Public School. Because they used to call that school a bucket of blood, because there was so much fighting and fussing going on. But I had to stay there from 3rd grade through 7th grade, and that means I had to be a peacemaker. And that's where I got my best education. And that's the reason I sent all of my children to public schools. And I sent them to poor public schools, not necessarily the richest public schools, because there are more poor people in the world than anything else. And the fortune, there's a book written by a professor at the University of Michigan, The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid. And I used to say, look at Neiman Marcus and look at Saks and see how much money they're making. But then look at the bottom at Walmart and Target. And they're doing a whole lot better. There are a whole lot more poor people than there are rich people. Everywhere. And the future is going to depend on, can we make democracy and free enterprise work for poor people? And if we can do that, we will have a great and peaceful world. So that's the challenge I leave for you.